Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm Richard and this is Lap of the World. You join me today for something of a noteworthy update from a previous video. Late last year, Q3 last year I guess I would say, we did an oil analysis video on the NSX where we had sent off the sample that we took after returning from our big trip out west. Now there was 11,000 miles on the oil that I sent off at the time, and when it came back, if you recall, and if you don't recall, don't worry, I've left a link to that video in one of these corners, I don't remember which, and there will be a link in the description as well. We did not get a completely clean sheet on that oil analysis. There was significantly increased lead content at the time, which I was told there was going to be probably one of two likely causes there. One, we did buy some gas at Oregon Raceway Park out of a big container, and there's possible there was a little bit of cross-contamination, or there used to be leaded gas in the tank that they now had the clear 92 in, so there might have been a little bit of marginal contamination there, which could have led to just a little bit of blow-by that had a lead in it. Or the alternative, the significantly worse alternative would be, it could be an indication of bearing wear. Now the car had no other indications or symptoms of bearing wear, so the hope was that after another cycle of oil change and everything, that number would drop significantly. Now since we did that, we've now done this last oil change. We went out to Kansas for the historic Lake Garnet Grand Prix revival, and then we went down to Daytona and chucked the car around the 24-hour circuit for 3 days straight with the Porsche Club. And that's probably the fastest and longest the bearings in the engine have been spun, given the amount of runway you have when you're out on the big oval there. So, if there was any question as to whether a little bit of extra lead in an oil report was going to, keep me from having fun,
you guys silly? I'm still going to send it.
But anyway, here we are with the follow-up report, and I will just get straight to the point that it looks like we are in the clear. The lead content, which was, again, I don't know what this is, what units we're talking about here. This may be, I don't know if this is parts per million or whatever, but the normal expected range, and in the previous ranges, had been like 3 and 2. And in our 11,000 mile change, we had jumped to 36. Fortunately now, after another 4,300 miles on this change, we are back down to 8. So the feedback from the fellows at Blackstone, because I mentioned this particularly, and you're able to kind of leave some notes on when you send in an oil analysis for them to kind of pay attention or explain things because they are scientists and know things. They're saying lead decreased about as much as could be hoped for. About 25% of the old oil and anything in it carries over through an oil change. Most of the lead that's left is probably residual from that last oil. The immediate decrease suggests the extra lead in the last time truly was blow-by from track gas and not a sign of poor bearing wear. They also go on to say that the other metals were still in good shape and there's no contamination from excess dirt, fuel, or coolant to point out. So it would appear that, at least as of this report, and the interpretation thereof by people who do science, that we should be good to go. I'm actually filming this, and I can confirm the car has had no further issues or any, not that it had an issue before, but it's had no issues or symptoms whatsoever, either at, on the way to and from Lake Garnet, at Daytona, and then I'm filming this days after having returned from a 2,000 mile round trip, in the middle of which we spent 2 days at COTA with Chin track days. At no point did the car even really have a hiccup. So all I'm doing at this point is, once I turn the camera off, I will be changing the brake pads in preparation for going down to a track night in America in early February at Palm Beach International, which may unfortunately be a swan song for that track, but I did want to make sure that I got a little bit of seat time in there in case it does go away. There are a few more now that I see. I've had that booked for a little while, and that's on the 8th of February, 7th or 8th of February, whatever the Tuesday is, the first week of February, second week of February. But there are some more dates now that Track Night has published, at least out until April. And that's my understanding, is that if you want to drive Palm Beach International, you should probably do so before April of 2022. Things are uncertain after that, as far as I can tell. I'll have more details, hopefully by the time I do that track feature. But for now, with a clean sheet of oil, or clean oil analysis in hand, we should be ready to go for some future adventures. But again, just a short video today to provide you with that update. It's been some... I haven't lost a ton of sleep over it, honestly, because, again, the car had absolutely no other symptoms of anything being amiss with the motor. However, there's always that little, little pinch at the back of your mind that you could be looking at a rebuild if things don't come back well, or if the number had gotten worse, and having not bought any. Well, I guess that's not completely true. Prior to this, I had not bought any additional track or gas at a racetrack. I did fill the tank once at COTA with their infield 93, but yeah. So I'm glad to be able to put that to bed, at least for now, or at least kind of take that off the back burner of consideration and just go and continue to sign up for events and get to more tracks. We've got lofty goals this year. I don't often say these things out loud, because last time I said something about this was going to be my year, it was the beginning of 2020, and we all know how that went. But this year the goal is loose goal, we're going to try and get to 10 tracks this year. We've got one down already, and we're barely out of January. If things go well, I'll have two before mid-February. So if we can then average one a month from there on, we might get it done, allowing for other events in there as well. Of course, we've got NS Expo coming up this year in Arizona, which will be another different track that I haven't been to, which is cool. Nothing else on the calendar tentatively as of yet, but I'm going to try and be better. I have updated our website. Lapoftheworld.com is actually a real site now. The map is still there, don't worry. It's just behind a little navigation link at this point. But on there, I'm going to attempt at some point to actually get a calendar of events kind of lined up at some point in time, once we get better about planning these things. I know, yeah, you're 3 years into the channel, you should be already doing this, but it's what it is, right? So anyway, all right, well, that's the updates I have for now. Again, I'm relieved at the oil results, and also look forward to both several videos from COTA coming up, as well as then subsequently videos from Palm Beach International, once I've actually gone and done that. For now, I need to get on with changing some brake pads, because COTA is rough on brakes. And then otherwise get to packing, and I will come back to you guys if I have any further updates after that. But for now, thanks for watching. I'm Richard. Again, this is Lap of the World, and I'll see you guys all in the next video, if not down at Palm Beach International.